Ink blends into the night, transforming into waving pines enveloped in the evening mist. Water glitters with starry light, flowing into the deep valley like a poetic song. The rich, varied shades and textures of ink have rendered this remarkable moonlit vision in the Yellow Mountain. This is Chinese painter Huan Binghong's work from the 1940s, Pine Forest in the Mists. His mastery of ink techniques was near perfection, marking a pinnacle for 20th century Chinese landscape painting. Once, twice, 10 times and more layers of ink were added onto paper, bringing out not darkness, but light on the mountains.
墨法这东西是一个千变万化的，其实说穿了都是一种灵魂的东西。
Born in 1865, Huang Binhong dedicated his entire life to painting. He compiled the famous Chinese paintings, a collection of Chinese masterpieces, and founded the prestigious magazine Art Weekly. In the 1930s, Huang Binhong was invited by the Palace Museum to help classify and organize valuable artifacts for wartime relocation. Amidst the turmoil of his time, the artist found solace in the world of art and immersed himself in the masterpieces of his predecessors, at the same time honing his skills and perfecting his technique, seeking to preserve the legacy of his forefathers and break new ground. Over the course of decades of practice, Huang Binhong developed the 7 methods of ink wash. Thick ink is used for the dark side to show depressions and the foreground. Light ink is used to outline illuminated sides, raised parts and backgrounds. Broken ink technique features a layer of ink breaking into another layer of a different shade. Accumulated ink technique involves layering multiple shades of ink. Splash ink technique involves splattering different shades of ink. Dry ink technique requires a dry brush, and overnight ink technique uses ink prepared a day before.
如果仅仅停滞于此，黄宾虹就不是黄宾虹了。
After grasping the styles and methods of traditional Chinese landscape paintings, the artist started a revolutionary transformation of his own style. The Yellow Mountain is considered the most magnificent mountain range in China. Huan Binhong visited the Yellow Mountain 9 times in his lifetime. He was particularly fascinated by its moonlit views and loved to paint in the moonlight. In darkness, intricate views were reduced to vague outlines. Mist flowed and shifted constantly. The songs of wind sweep through the pine trees, reverberating in the deep valleys, playing a moonlight symphony. Inspired and reinvigorated, Huang Binhong picked up his brush. He dipped into thick black ink and applied it on paper, layer after layer.
黄宾虹最大的特色，这是墨法有的最好，尤其这是素墨的东西啊，容易脏。你要是画不好了，就显得个乌涂一片，所以别人是很少用，他敢用。
万松烟霭这幅作品是黄宾虹晚年黑宾虹时期的代表作品，就是把所有的山水已经脱离了具体的形制，进入一种感觉的世界，干冽秋风，润寒春雨。
The artist believed that brush and ink were expressions of China's national character. He summed up the essence of the art form as profound and exuberant, which is also believed to reflect the essence of Chinese culture. Stroke upon stroke, the brush, infused with ink, adds to the majestic presence of Mount Hua, reputed to be the most thrilling and dangerous mountain in China. Voices break the silence of an empty mountain, prompting curious travelers to seek the source of the sound. Boisterous children play in front of a few cottages scattered inside the valley. We could almost hear the clinking of wine glasses and smell the aroma of wine that also intoxicates the pine trees. The loftiness of Mount Hua is captured by this image of incredible scope and details. Splendors of Mount Hua is a pioneering work of modern Chinese landscape painting. Created by renowned Chinese artist Fu Baoshi, it is a testament to the artist's mastery of Cunfa, a unique wrinkling technique which exhibits intricate nuances in a landscape, with brushstrokes creating the flow, texture, perspective, volume, and interplay of light and shadow. Dotting strokes suggest glistening water droplets on rocks. Axe-cut strokes show the rugged and angular texture of rocks. Here we witness the masterful Cunfa technique of Fu Baoshi, which has become closely associated with the artist's name. Concentrated strokes are dispersed with countless wrinkles, trailing ink behind. The brush runs free, with no trace of beginning nor end. Yet volume is formed with light and darkness. The canvas pulsates with life, grand and sublime. This iconic Cunfa technique was created by Fu Baoshi during the War of Resistance against Japanese aggression, when he taught art at the National Central University and the National College of Art in the wartime capital Chongqing. There, he hiked daily through rugged mountains and bamboo forests. While awed by the majestic beauty of the landscape, Fu Baoshi was also depressed to see the shattered state of his homeland. The artist was torn between two worlds. On a stormy night, fueled by a few sips of Chinese spirit, his anger towards the invasion of his country and pride in his nation's dignity gushed forth. He picked up a brush and broke from the traditional, gentle style of Chinese painting. He scattered the strokes, heightened the stress, and sped up the pace. That was when the iconic Baoshi Zun, the Zunfa technique named after him, was born. Amidst the turmoil of wartime China in 1942, Fu Baoshi's art exhibit caused a sensation.
这些画里面体现出了一种生机，这种生机就是中国人的一种生命力。对于外侵，对于任何的不利于我们的，在生命力面前呢，它都是渺小的。
Over a decade later, Fu Baoshi, then director of the Traditional Fine Art Institute of Southeast China's Jiangsu province, led a team of about a dozen artists on a 3-month-long journey, covering a distance of over 7,000 miles to paint the rich and varied landscapes across China. In the presence of the towering peaks of Mount Hua, one of the iconic mountains known for being a cradle for Chinese culture, the fire of artistic creation was lit again in Fu Baoshi's heart. This time, not by dreary sights of a nation in distress, but an overwhelming sense of pride and aspiration for all the magnificent landscape of his motherland. Fu Baoshi took up the brush again and let his legendary Baoshi Zun technique play its magic. One can almost hear his vigorous brushstrokes break on the paper as he paints. A perfect union of the bold and the subtle. Fu Baoshi's painting brought out not only the spirit of a mountain, but also that of a nation. Chinese ink and brush paintings can be more than ideals and romanticism, ethereal scenery, and personal aspirations. They can also embody a nation's sentiment in times of triumph and tragedy. Deep in the autumn mountains, a stream flows from a distant source. Meandering and trickling, it travels through majestic landscapes, then plunges down in a spectacular waterfall. The land is draped in red leaves, forming a vivid contrast with the dyed mountains that rise in the horizon. The towering cliffs are erect like monuments, as if they aspire to reach the sky. Red Over the Mountains is the work of Chinese painter Li Keran in 1963, after his extensive travels across the country. He revolutionized the use of color in Chinese painting, opening a new horizon for artistic expression. In traditional Chinese landscape paintings, light watercolors are used to show reclusiveness and nobility, heavy gold for affluence and majesty, or blue and green for delicate beauty. Red Over the Mountains didn't fit into any of these categories and chose red for its central motif in a bold attempt. Different shades of red were layered upon each other, building up space and depth on Schwen paper until the endless autumn forest screams with the color.
这件作品在中国画山水画创作上是一个新的开拓。开拓的重要原因就是，这个黑山水上能不能画红色。
The origin of this new approach can be traced back to a trip made by the artist in 1963 to a cedar forest near the Tropic of Cancer in southern China. Then, 56 years old, Li Keran was a highly respected professor at China's Central Academy of Fine Arts. He was 10 years into his traveling and sketching journeys, covering tens of thousands of miles across the country. The real mountains and rivers that he saw not only enriched his paintings, but also enabled him to see the limitations of traditional painting techniques. He felt the need for a breakthrough. In Li Keran's paintings from that period, viewers can find the brush and ink style from traditional Chinese painting, and also his adoption of philosophy in Western oil paintings, which emphasize light and shadow and the impression of colors. Chinese and Western painting styles fused wonderfully in his works. In 1963, the painter lost himself in awe of the resplendent cedar forest in southern China's Guangdong province. He was hit with inspiration by the mountains and hills covered in red and had to capture it in his paintings. Combining the ink accumulation method with oil painting techniques, Li Keran applied red dots layer after layer. He illustrated the fiery autumn scenery with such intensity, as if he was pouring ink directly from his heart.
是染到画面上，还是用积墨的方法积彩积到画面上，把墨转化成朱砂，一层一层点上去，这才是关键。这个主峰在画面正中间迎面而来，这是所有的山水画中都回避的。这种语言本身带有这个时代的气息，并不仅仅是它用了红颜色，具有形式美感，还重要的是它的表达的一种精神境界的一种雄伟，一种博大。
Li Keran's painting Red Over the Mountains was named after a poem, and its distinctive red color speaks of the poetic romance of nature's beauty. It's also a powerful statement of the painter's passion for the magnificent landscape he saw and loved.